was a kid, yeah, there were a lot of fights, but we didn't all own guns, right? If somebody had a knife, that was a big deal, right? Now, the minute anybody's mad at anybody, to pull out a gun and kill them.
2 people in California just got arrested after a road rage incident led the driver to take out his gun and shoot into the car that he was feeling road rage against, and a 6-year-old child got shot and killed as a result. Luckily, they found the 2 in the car that opened fire, and they're arrested now. But if you don't have that gun, your road rage incident just results in you screaming at the top of your lungs behind the steering wheel and then getting over it. But if you have a gun with you, the likelihood of you using that gun in a road rage incident obviously increases just by the very existence of that gun in your vehicle as you're upset and angry.
Look, there's countless stories of kids finding a gun in the home because you think you do gun safety right, and maybe a lot of you do, but a ton of people don't. And then the kid kills himself, it kills the parent, kills the sister, kills the brother, on and on. We just stopped covering because it was so depressing. And then we stopped covering the mass shootings because there was too many of them, right?
I mean, it would be the entire show if we covered all mass shootings.
But literally there's like a couple a day. And so it would swallow up the whole show. So now you got to kill 8, 10 people. This is total. OK Corral was only 2 people that died. And they talked about it for 100 years, the shootout at the OK Corral. Now we have a shootout at the OK Corral multiple times throughout the day because everybody's in a shootout because everybody's got guns.
So we're on the Young Turks today, and Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur are talking about crime and guns, of course. This is America, Cenk. People have guns. Just get over it. That's just the way it is. I'm very pro 2A. I don't live in America, as I've said on other videos. Haven't lived there for a very long time. I live in an unnamed European country, Western European country, where gun laws are very restrictive. Now, there are pros and cons to that, just like there are pros and cons to the American system. But the American system is what it is. And also, I think you'll find, Cenk, if you look into the actual statistics about who is committing gun crime, which groups mostly shoot and kill people, you might be surprised. But we won't go into that right now.
It's super obvious.
Now, there's one final thing I want to bring up because I do think that there are progressives, I don't know if it's progressive policy, but progressives in places like California who have made terrible decisions. And so one of those terrible decisions is essentially doing away with anti-camping laws, right? Allowing people to camp out wherever they want, whenever they want. And if, like, we have a homeless problem in California. We have it all throughout the country, but it's particularly bad in California. And so the argument is, well, if there isn't public housing available for people, they should be allowed to camp out. Okay, but there's also a problem right now where there is public housing available and individuals will say, no, I don't want to take it. I don't want to follow the rules in the public housing. And so as a result, I would rather camp out. Progressive lawmakers are like, we should allow them to camp out. And you know what happens? Crime happens.
Yeah, I know about this personally. One thing I haven't mentioned before is that I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. And, you know, I was born a long time ago. So I was a kid in the 70s, in high school in the early 80s. And Portland, now, when I go back, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. The progressives and the libtards have taken it over. I mean, it was always a bit of a libtard state, but now it's just out of control. And there's homeless encampments literally downtown in the business district. There's homeless encampments all around the city and outside the city. I have friends who live just outside the city. Some huge homeless encampment was set up. They were doing all sorts of crime. They knew people who had to go and retrieve a stolen car in that homeless encampment. It's more like a homeless encampment village. He got a gang of guys together with guns. They went in, got his car back, and got out safely. But it's madness. The whole thing is absolute madness, thanks to these progressive, woke, politicians who just allow anything to happen. It's almost as if it's being done on purpose. You know, I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but it's almost as if encouraging bad behavior. Well, you know, if allowing bad behavior actually encourages more of it.
Open air drug markets happen, and it's the truth. These are the facts of the matter. In fact, it was addressed in this Daily Beast article, and honestly, it was cathartic to read it because everyone denies that this is happening. So one likely explanation for 2020 gun violence that gets less airtime is the opioid crisis and the corresponding explosion of open-air drug markets. Preliminary CDC data suggests more than 87,000 Americans died of drug overdoses last year, a 29% increase from 2019. Now, John Roman, who's a crime researcher with the University of Chicago, says that open-air drug markets are the ultimate recipe for violence. You have dealers fighting over customers, customers fighting with dealers, wholesale networks on top of that, competing for market share, new beefs, turf wars, gangs. And we see it. We see it in front of us with our very eyes. And like this idea of, no, just let people do whatever they want. If they want to camp outdoors, even after they've been, offered public housing, that should be okay. No, I don't agree with that. I think that's an awful policy.
And of course, let's not overlook the Oxy problem, because we had drug problems in America before, of course, but Oxy has kicked it into a different level. I mean, what was that, 87, 89,000 deaths related to that in a year, and it's not just from the overdoses, it's also from the violence that comes from dealing Oxy, etc. And by the way, who brought you the Oxy crisis? Multinational corporations, and then they bribed the politicians. Gave campaign contributions to both Republicans and Democrats to let them sling that heroin, that legalized heroin. They used the legalized bribery to sell legalized heroin, and then we're surprised to find out that there's more crime as well as the overdoses in America.
Exactly.
So all of that is a toxic stew that led to the extra crime. Thanks for watching The Young Turks.
So Cenk just made a very good point there about the Oxy crisis. And the fact is that Oxy is an incredibly powerful drug made by a big, powerful pharmaceutical company. You can look them up. Made billions and billions off of it, and they buy American politicians to, they lobby them and basically buy them off and get Oxy promoted everywhere. And so you get what you get. Now, it's not just that. It's not just this one company. It is a toxic stew of all sorts of problems going on. The permissiveness, the general degradation of society, the degradation of morality, all sorts of things going on. The mass migrations that come into play, gangs get established, and the whole thing is just a massive mess. And there are ways out, but it's not going to be easy. You're not going to vote your way out of this. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below about this, because they're talking about a lot and actually making some sense here for once on the Young Turks. And like and subscribe as always. Let me know what you think in the comments, and any support you can give by liking and subscribing really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.